The financial sector is going through one of its biggest transformations in decades, and people are at the heart of it. Across the UAE and beyond, banks are rethinking how they attract, develop, and empower talent using innovation, AI, and inclusion to shape the workplaces of the future. Joining me to explore how this transformation is unfolding is Hamda Al Shamali, Group Chief People and Intellectual Capital Officer at Mashreq. Thanks so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you for having me today.
Define for us, if you would, the link between people strategy and Mashreq's overall transformation strategy.
Well, the connection between people strategy or the overall people mandate and Mashreq transformation journey is fundamental. When we talk about any sort of transformation, whether we are talking about digital transformation, cultural transformation, or possibly even a new business model, we cannot be talking only about policies and systems. People are a core part of that transformation. And if we want that to be successful, we need to look at how people believe in our vision, how empowered people are to navigate through the transformation journey and through the challenges that they may face, as well as how people are inspired to drive those transformations and changes, in a way that adds value to them, as well as the organization. When we look at Mashreq, for example, and I can reflect on the way that we have created our employee value proposition, we have created 5 pillars. All the 5 pillars evolve around how we look at the journey that we create for our employees. When we look at, for example, how the 5 pillars were designed, we're looking at how we support the people when it comes to their growth and career advancement, how we look at basically the value that we create for people, and how we recognize people throughout that journey. We have reached also to an extent that we look beyond people, our own people, to the people that they care about, whether they are families or friends. And here, when we look at our employee value proposition and we look at the 5 pillars of Mashreq, we are focused on creating an exceptional journey for our people. So every pillar is designed in a way that supports the employee through this journey in its own way. So for example, when I talk about the pillar of I'm an asset, I'm looking at how can I support people in their growth and career advancement in a way that they feel fulfilled in the jobs that they do. When I look at I'm appreciated and I'm valued for, how can I look at creating the value that employees want through these journeys, and how can I recognize the effort and the commitment that they show to the organization? Then I look at the empowerment that I'm giving to employees, and how can I extend my care to go beyond the employees of the bank to reach to the ones that they care for, whether it's their families or friends or anyone within their communities.
And you're actually reaching beyond the immediate employee and towards their entire families, taking care of their entire families in a kind of holistic approach, isn't it?
Yes, and here where we look at, for example, the basic things that we look at. When we come and say we want to attract talent, how did we open the door for employees to come and refer their families and friends, to our organization across the globe? And we are talking about our presence across more than 14 countries globally. And then when we come and look at health insurance, how do we take care through that plan that we create for employees, taking into consideration the different scenarios that can possibly happen, in one's life across, again, the different geographies as well.
Mashreq is employing really innovative HR strategies, as we've just heard, and it's really driving performance and driving engagement. What are the most impactful strategies?
Before I go into the impactful strategy of people and intellectual capital, or Mashreq as overall, one thing that I want to highlight is at Mashreq, we encourage people to think in a non-traditional way. We want to be disruptive in the market. When we look at ourselves and we benchmark ourselves against the competitors, we're not doing it because we want to basically copy-paste what they are doing. We want to do it in a way that we want to pioneer and disrupt by doing things that others have not done. So here, when I look, for example, at how we created our intellectual capital function, I can think of 4 main pillars. One is We Rise, that focuses on employees' well-being, physical and mental, as well as financial well-being. And I can proudly say today that our employee engagement index has reached 89%, which is one of the highest, not only in the industry, but globally as well. And the strongest element of that engagement is people's belief in the company's vision and the leadership as well. The second one is what we call We Learn, and here where we focus again on people's growth, but in non-traditional way. We're not looking at one's performance, and then what training needs are required. We're looking at building the future capabilities. When we look at where the market is going, what are the trends when it comes to certain skills or learning, and how can we adapt that? We're not looking only at the skills, but we're looking at how we build experience in the organization and how we invest in the knowledge of people. The last pillar is what we call We Grow, okay? And We Grow is mainly focused on the high potentials and talent in the organization. How do we create structured learning opportunities for these people in the country and overseas with top-notch, basically, institutes, learning institutes, to make sure that we create that global mindset that we inspire to do.
Really preparing your workforce for the future, and it must be difficult balancing long-term investment with the fast-changing demands of the financial sector.
That's why we are saying we are beyond thinking of, training and development needs analysis, and we are more focused on building capabilities. And when I think of capabilities, I'm thinking where the market is going. So we're looking at, for example, how AI is evolving, how technology and digital transformation is evolving in the industry and overall sector as well. We are looking at cybersecurity as another thing, data analytics. These have become the foundation of learning in any organization. It's not something that we desire to do, it's a must do. Otherwise, we will be losing opportunities for people to grow in the organization. And here where we say capabilities, and we talk about the knowledge and the skills and the experience, we're mainly talking about our people fit for future and not limited to fit basically for what we do today.
And how do you ensure employees embrace this change?
By basically involving them in the discussions. One thing that I think we're good at is when we listen to people. We don't sit in our offices and assume that we know it all. We talk frequently to people, we get their feedback on what we do and what we should improve and what are the things that we possibly have not considered that we need to consider. And when we talk about future and how we get them on board, it's easy for me to say that the world is going through, a massive transformation when it comes to technology and AI. But if I'm not going to extend my hand to support people in this regard, then it's pointless for me why I'm talking to them about it even. And that's why we are creating what we call AI Academy. And we have created 3 different curriculums in the organization that will serve the different segments. So we have one separate curriculum only for the leadership, taking into consideration their impact and influence on the wider population and the organization. One curriculum will focus only on developers, where we have our digital and technology as core part of their job. And then the last curriculum is for the mass population, people who need to upskill and reskill themselves to adapt to the new change in the market.
And I know women are very important to your operations, and Mashreq has really been an advocate for empowering women, and you as an individual have as well. What progress have you seen in the UAE's banking sector in this regard in general?
UAE has been doing an outstanding job when it comes to creating paths for female to thrive. And when it comes to Mashreq, we are basically looking at how can we mirror the leadership vision, when it comes to that. And we don't do it because it's a good thing to do. We're doing it because we do believe that, and we have seen the return on investment in this regard. We have seen how bringing more women on board, specifically in leadership roles, has its impact in terms of sustainable performance in the organization. It's building a more resilient and I would say flexible work environment, in the organization. While we have progressed well, and as we speak today, we stand at 37% in terms of our workforce being female, there is still areas for growth. And I think our strength lies into strongly believing that this is the right thing to do and bringing the right value to the organization as well.
You mentioned this earlier, but tell us more about how Mashreq is leveraging AI and analytics or digital tools to really enhance learning and development.
I can think of two programs. One is the Ashraqi Women Empowerment Platform, and this is a platform that is open to all the female colleagues in the organization, where we invite them to network, exchange knowledge, bring ideas and thoughts to the table, and also basically share their views on where they think that we need to focus more to create these opportunities for the female colleagues. And it has proven its value over the past couple of years, honestly. The second program that we have created also is what we call Reignite program. And the Reignite program is designed for females who have been out of the job for the past 12 months. People, or female who have been out because they wanted to pursue their studies, or they wanted to take care of the families, or they wanted to establish their own families. And we know how the market looks at, people who have been out of the industry basically for a couple of months, let alone 12 months or more. And this program has been created for women who have been basically out of the industry for the past 12 months. When they join the organization, they go through a 6 months of investment. The investment includes mentorship, includes basically certain learning and development opportunities to make sure that they settle in their jobs faster than anyone else.
This is so important. We all know women who have left work for personal reasons or to take care of family and need a way to get back into their positions comfortably and successfully. So tell us about the skills that you believe will really define the workforce of the future. You mentioned some of them, but particularly in banking and in financial services.
I would say digital literacy is definitely important for people to understand the impact of technology on their jobs and come with an open mindset that I want to embrace this change and I want to adapt to it as well. Because at the end of the day, when we look at it, I may talk about it, but if I don't have the will to adapt to that, it becomes a difficult transformation journey for me as an individual. Leadership is another thing that I want to emphasize on. And when I talk about leadership, I'm not talking about people managers, but how I lead myself in an organization from a self-branding perspective, how I manage basically my career and how I lead that. And then as I grow up the ladder, how I basically manage the people, and then how I lead the organization strategically.
And you mentioned technology and Mashreq's deep use of technology, and I know it's very important to your organization. How are you really leveraging the AI and the analytics or the digital tools to enhance talent development?
Technology has completely shifted the way that we look at our talent development. Nowadays, the reliance on basically classroom opportunities or the trainings have reduced massively. So what we are doing at Mashreq is basically investing in the AI and learning platforms where people can go and create their own pathways. You can come and you say, this is what I want to become in future and this is where I see my career going. So you go and you create basically what are the learning opportunities that you want to go through. And then we have also created learning partners who are becoming more of coaches, that they can sit with people and say, this is what will work for you and this is what probably you need to prioritize in the coming months over something else. And we're not limiting this to one platform, but we have given people several options to make sure that we cover their technical needs, their leadership needs, as well as their soft skills as well.
So you're really giving your people the tools to define their own career trajectory.
Yes, we strongly believe that people are their own career CEOs, and you have the full right to decide where you want to grow based on your aspiration and passion. We can coach you, we can tell you what works best for you and align it with the overall company or organization goal, but I think at the end of the day, if you don't own it, it's not going to work.
And you've spent more than 20 years in human capital. Tell us about the pivotal moments that have defined your philosophy.
Two things. One is listening to people is very important for our success as leaders or as HR specifically. We can't sit and assume that we know it all and we know what works for people, especially when you work with people who come from diverse backgrounds, nationalities, geographies, and beliefs as well, and people who have different career aspirations. So listening to people will work. And it has worked in our favor for the past couple of years, honestly, where we get to sit with people and get their ideas and their thoughts, and we make them, or bring them into life and into action. The second point I can think of when a couple of years ago with the pandemic, when it happened? And how can we as leaders balance discipline with flexibility? This is something I think is very important. It's always believed that HR is very disciplined when it comes to creating policies and following policies. But I think while we do that, okay, we create policies, but I think we need to show some empathy and some care as well when it comes to people, by recognizing or acknowledging the fact that policies may not be blanketly used, for everyone. And we need to take into consideration that people's different needs, different circumstances, and different situations as well when it comes to the implementation of that, while bearing in mind that discipline has to also be implemented in the organization.
It is a very delicate balance, isn't it? And what would your advice be for all of those young Emiratis who are seeking careers such as yours in HR or in finance?
Before I give them advice, one thing that I think it's important to highlight is our leadership has a very clear vision in terms of where they want to see us growing as Emiratis or as a nation. And we have to basically live up to that expectation as well. One thing that I would like to see more coming from the UAE nationals or Emiratis is being more curious about learning, being more curious about basically pushing themselves to go through the challenges for the sake of learning and growth. That is something that I possibly don't see across the board, not only with Emiratis, if I'm going to be fair, but with everyone. But for Emiratis in particular, I do want to see that curiosity growing.
When we have the technologies that we do now, such as AI, it's difficult to be curious when those technologies are actually doing a lot of the work for us, isn't it?
Yes, but not when the organization is creating the tools for you to learn how it works at the back end. So when you know how this machine is working from the back end, you can always come and say, I know how to challenge that. I know how to create opportunities for myself. Now, while it's taking care of the basic admin or operational work, I can thrive and grow to do something more.
You spoke about the UAE leadership's vision and Mashreq's vision. What is your long-term vision at Mashreq, and what is the people strategy and the legacy that you hope to leave behind?
I want to be different as an organization. I want to be home for talent in a way that people do always embrace their journeys with Mashreq, and they always want to come back, if not themselves, but through their coming generations, through their kids and families, where they push them to come through, and work for Mashreq at any stage of their career. I do want to pioneer in what I do. I want to be known as someone who challenges the status quo and someone who always inspired to grow with people.
Well, you've certainly facilitated an environment at Mashreq that nurtures growth, and I'm sure you will continue to attract top talent. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.